Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India strongly reiterates its call for dialogue and diplomacy in the West Asia conflict, confirms the death of 3 Indian sailors near the Gulf of Oman. West Asia conflict widens on day 4. France says it's deploying Rafale fighters over the UAE and providing air defense systems to Cyprus. Iran warns European nations against joining the war. Israel strikes Tehran's presidential office, Security Council and Natanz nuclear site. Beirut bombed. Troops advance deeper into southern Lebanon. Iran strikes back with blasts heard in Jerusalem, Doha and Manama. Qatar's Al Udeid US base is also targeted. Oil infrastructure is hit as well in the UAE and Oman. India's External Affairs Ministry has expressed deep concern at the commencement of the conflict in Iran and the Gulf region on the 28th of February. Even at that time, India had urged all sides to exercise restraint, avoid escalation and prioritize the safety of civilians. This is the statement of the Ministry of External Affairs, which I am reading. Unfortunately, in the holy month of Ramadan, the situation in the region has deteriorated significantly and continuously. In recent days, we have not only witnessed an intensification of the conflict, but also its spread to other nations. The destruction and deaths have mounted, even as normal life and economic activities come to a halt. As a proximate neighbor with critical stakes in the security and stability of the region, these developments evoke great anxiety. There are almost 1 crore Indian citizens who live and work in the Gulf region. Their safety and well-being is of utmost priority. We cannot be impervious to any development that negatively affects them. Our trade and energy supply chains also traverse this geography. Any major disruption has serious consequences for the Indian economy. As a country whose nationals are prominent in the global workforce, India is also firmly opposed to attacks on merchant shipping. Already some Indian nationals have lost their lives and are missing as a result of such attacks in the last few days. In this background, India strongly reiterates its call for dialogue and diplomacy. We raise our voice clearly in favor of an early end to the conflict. Already many lives have been regrettably lost, and we express our grief in that regard. Indian embassies and consulates in the affected countries remain in close touch with Indian nationals and community organizations, issuing regular advisories as appropriate. They have extended all possible help to those stranded by the conflict. The embassies and consulates will continue to be proactive in addressing various consular aspects of the conflict. We are in touch with the government of this region, as well as other key partners. Prime Minister and External Affairs Minister have held discussions with their counterparts. Government will continue to closely monitor the evolving situation and take relevant decisions in the national interest. This was the statement by the official spokesperson in the ongoing conflict in the West Asian region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to 2 important leaders from the Gulf region today afternoon. He had a phone call with the Sultan of Oman, Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. He also had a conversation with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Mubarak Al Sabah. During both discussions, Prime Minister expressed concern at the attacks in the respective countries and discussed the welfare and security of the Indian community residing there. Meanwhile, India has issued advisories to Indian vessels over the situation in the Persian Gulf. the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Oman. In the advisory, the Directorate General of Shipping has said that it is closely monitoring the evolving maritime security situation. The Directorate has activated enhanced monitoring and security oversight, including ensuring maritime security and crew safety, real-time tracking of Indian flagged vessels with increased reporting frequency, and 24/7 monitoring through the Maritime Monitoring and Data Analysis Center, DGCOM Center. Mandatory reporting protocols have been prescribed for vessels, owners and managers, and close coordination is being maintained with the Indian Navy, Ministry of External Affairs, IFC-IOR, MRCC and Indian missions. Shipping companies have also been advised to exercise due caution in crew deployment and to maintain a regular communication with seafarers and their families. The Government of India remains fully committed to safeguarding the interests of Indian seafarers, merchant shipping, and ensuring the security and resilience of India's maritime operations during this period of heightened regional tension. As the airspace in the UAE's Dubai is partially opened up amid the ongoing conflict in West Asia, Indian citizens have arrived in New Delhi and Mumbai on Tuesday. Air India welcomed passengers and crew arriving from Dubai on board flight at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Of course, when you hear the noises, you feel scared, but otherwise, there was life as normal and we felt very safe. The government did every way to make us residents, feel safe, or tourists feel safe. So taxis were functioning well, malls were functioning well, people were very helpful there.
You are scared unless and until you are on your motherland. It is scary. You think कि नहीं यार situation यहाँ से बिगड़ सकती है. I'm exceptionally grateful to our Deputy CM Eknath Shinde ji, our CM Devendra Fadnavis ji, and especially Narendra Modi ji.
Meanwhile, more than 250 flights were cancelled at Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Chennai airports on Tuesday due to the West Asia conflict. For the fourth day, flight operations continued to be disrupted as airlines cancelled flights amid the escalating conflict involving the US, Israel and Iran. According to officials, as many as 80 flights were cancelled at the Delhi airport, while 107 services were cancelled at the Mumbai airport. Some airlines, including Emirates, have partially started operations to and from West Asia. The Indian Embassy in Saudi Arabia has advised Indian nationals to remain vigilant and to strictly follow local safety guidelines and official advisories. The advisory urges Indians in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to comply with instructions issued by local authorities and the Indian Embassy. Authorities noted that several air carriers continue to operate between Riyadh and Jeddah and Indian destinations. Indian nationals planning to return may avail of these flights after checking availability. The Indian Embassy in Tehran has issued an update stating that it has relocated most Indian students to safer locations outside Tehran. The embassy has made arrangements for their transportation, food and accommodation. For other Indian students and Indian nationals who still remain in Iran, the advisory issued earlier remains the same: to stay indoors, to exercise due caution at all times, avoid areas of protests or demonstrations. France is ready to defend its partners if they request help after Iranian retaliatory strikes and reserves its right to intervene. In an interview, the Foreign Minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, has said that the war is dragging a number of countries into the region, into the conflict with which we have relations, defense agreements and interests, I'm quoting him, including military bases. He added that French Rafale fighter jets carried out air operations to secure the skies above France's bases in the region. Around 400,000 French nationals are currently in the countries affected by the crisis in the West Asia. And also the French government is ready, in fact, to fly back most of those who are at risk using both commercial and military flights. This is what he said. Meanwhile, France has plans to send anti-missile and anti-drone systems to Cyprus after a British airbase on the island was attacked by drones. Reportedly, France has said that the deployment would include a frigate, as President Macron communicated to this intention to the Cypriot Prime Minister, or the Cypriot President, Nikos Christodoulos, earlier on Tuesday. Residents of Akrotiri village near the British Royal Base Force in Cyprus, they've largely been evacuated following a drone strike on that facility overnight. Sirens blared as locals fled in panic, seeking shelter in Limassol, or Cypriot Army barracks, amid fears of family safety. Cyprus remains on high alert following a drone strike on the Britain Royal Air Force base at Akrotiri, which caused minor damage, although no casualties were reported. The attack, involving an Iranian-made Shahid drone, likely launched by Hezbollah from Lebanon, occurred just after midnight on Monday, marking the first such incident on the base since 1986 and escalating regional tensions. The European Council President Antonio Costa conveyed the European Union's unwavering support and solidarity to the Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulos in a telephone conversation. He expressed appreciation to Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis for Greece's military assistance. Costa also welcomed Lebanon's steps to curb Hezbollah's military activities. Meanwhile, Israel forces, they've struck Iran's state broadcaster, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB. This happened in Tehran on Tuesday, causing 2 explosions near its headquarters. IRIB has confirmed these attacks, but they've reported that they are continuing with normal broadcasting amid the ongoing Israeli-US campaign. Israel conducted precision overnight airstrikes on Iran's central leadership compound in Tehran, striking the presidential office and the Supreme National Security Council building. The Israeli Defense Forces have stated that the operation has dismantled critical regime facilities using multiple munitions, guided by precise intelligence.
Last night, the Air Force planes, under precise guidance from the Intelligence Directorate, attacked the Iranian leadership complex in the heart of Tehran, the most important and central headquarters of the regime. The complex is spread across many streets in the heart of Tehran. During the attack on the complex, we hit the presidential office and the gathering complex of the regime's most senior forum, as well as other leadership and command infrastructure. We attacked the Supreme National Security Council complex, the official body responsible for making decisions on policy and strategic issues in Iran.
Iran has issued a stark warning to European nations on Tuesday, declaring that any involvement in defensive actions against its missile capabilities proposed by Germany, Britain and France would constitute an act of war and complicity with Israel and the United States. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bakai emphasized that such moves would be treated as direct aggression against Iran.
This would be an act of war. Any such act against Iran would be regarded as complicity with the aggressors. It would be regarded as an act of war against Iran. Defensive is synonym for offensive. Doesn't make sense. Do they want to deprive Iran of its capability and capacity to fight back against the aggressors? That would be a shame if these countries take sides with the aggressors. They have already done enough against Iran.
Entrances to Iran's underground and previously bombed uranium enrichment plant in Natanz have been struck as part of the U.S.-Israeli military attacks on the country. The underground fuel enrichment plant is one of Iran's 3 uranium enrichment plants that are known to have been operating when Israel and the United States had carried out strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities last June. Reacting on the same, the International Atomic Energy Agency has said, and I quote, Based on the latest available satellite imagery, IAEA can now confirm some recent damage to entrance buildings of Iran's underground Natanz fuel enrichment plant. No radiological consequence expected and no additional impact detected at FEP itself, which was severely damaged in the June conflict. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken to the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and condemned the attacks on his country during the ongoing conflict. Prime Minister has just spoken to the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and condemned the attacks on his country. So the Prime Minister has been speaking to all the leaders in the Gulf countries. India has a sizable community of Indians in the Gulf region, numbering up to 1 crore. The Ministry of External Affairs has also issued a statement which we read out at the beginning of the bulletin. In the statement, it mentioned how the Prime Minister and the Minister of External Affairs have been in touch with their counterparts and the leadership of these countries, and with regard to the safety of Indian nationals in the region. On to Lebanon, where Israel says that ground troops will advance and seize additional strategic areas in the country. Israeli military has deployed additional forces to southern Lebanon overnight to take up what a military spokesperson on Tuesday described as defensive positions to protect Israeli civilians and strategic sites from any potential Hezbollah attack. The Defense Minister, Israel Katz, said in a statement he had authorized the military to advance and take control of additional positions in Lebanon after Hezbollah fired rockets at Israel late on Sunday in reaction to U.S. and Israeli strikes against Iran. Israel's military had launched strikes on Hezbollah targets, including command centers and weapons storage facilities in Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after warning it would press ahead with its campaign against the Iran-backed group. Israeli forces have occupied 5 positions in southern Lebanon since November 2024. Hezbollah on Tuesday said it targeted 3 Israeli military bases in response to Israeli strikes on the group's strongholds in Lebanon, including the South Beirut suburbs. Lebanon was drawn into the regional war on Monday after an initial attack on Israel by Hezbollah, which said it wanted to avenge the killing of the Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei during the U.S.-Israeli strikes. Meanwhile, Iran's army said on Tuesday its forces launched attacks on Israel and a U.S. military base in Qatar. The Iranian army's statement, carried by Shargh Daily, has said, and I'm quoting it now, the destructive combat drones of the Army's ground, air and naval forces targeted the military areas of the Zionist regime in the occupied territories and the bases of American forces in Al Udeid, Qatar, unquote. Still to come here on DD India Live. Prime Minister Modi urges export more at a post-budget webinar on sustaining economic growth. Defense Ministry signs 5,083 crore rupee contracts for advanced light helicopters and Shtil missiles.
This week on Defense Dynamics, does the Indian Air Force need a 5th-generation fighter now to counter China's Chengdu J-20? With AMCA still in the pipeline, we weigh the pros and cons of the F-35 Lightning II and Sukhoi Su-57. We decode Israel's air defense shield, Iron Dome, David's Sling and Arrow, and what India can learn from it. India inducts INS Anja Deep, boosting coastal anti-submarine capability, why it matters. Catch the full analysis this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today addressed the post-budget webinar on the theme sustaining and strengthening economic growth via a video conference. The post-budget webinar highlighted the forward-looking reform push to expand industrial scale, deepen technological leadership and strengthen the foundations of critical sectors. In his address, Prime Minister said that the country's direction is clear. That is, build more, produce more and connect more. And now, he said, we need to also export more.
इस वेबिनार की थीम देश की इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को निरंतर मजबूती देने से जुड़ी हुई है। आज जब भारत अपनी मजबूत इकोनॉमी से पूरे विश्व की उम्मीद बना हुआ है, आज जब ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन रीशेप हो रही है, तब अर्थव्यवस्था की तेज प्रगति विकसित भारत का भी बहुत बड़ा आधार है। हमारी दिशा स्पष्ट है, हमारा संकल्प स्पष्ट है। बिल्ड मोर, प्रोड्यूस मोर, कनेक्ट मोर और अब जरूरत है एक्सपोर्ट मोर।
Prime Minister also said that while manufacturing a product, the focus should be on meeting the highest global standards. Prime Minister also stressed that there should be more investment in research as well.
भारत के पास यह अवसर है कि वह इस भूमिका को मजबूती से निभाएं। इसके लिए आप सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स को बहुत आत्मविश्वास के साथ निवेश करना होगा। नई टेक्नोलॉजी अपनानी होगी और रिसर्च में जो कंजूसी करते हैं ना, वो जमाना चला गया। अब हमें रिसर्च में बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट करना होगा और ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स के अनुरूप क्वालिटी भी सुनिश्चित करनी होगी।
The Ministry of Defence has signed contracts worth 5,083 crore rupees. This is for advanced light helicopters and Shtil missile. This is in the presence of the Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh in New Delhi. The rupees 2,901 crore contract with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited covers 6 advanced light helicopters Mark II maritime role for the Indian Coast Guard, along with advanced light helicopter Mark III package, engineering support and logistics. These twin-engine helicopters will strengthen maritime surveillance and offshore protection. Separately, rupees 2,182 crore deal with joint stock company Rosso Boron Export is the name of this company, which is of Russia, and it has been signed for surface-to-air vertical launch Shtil missiles. And this is to boost the Indian Navy's air defense capabilities against aerial threats. India and Rwanda reaffirmed their growing partnership during the second India-Rwanda Joint Commission meeting co-chaired by India's Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh and Olivia J.P. Nudugere, who's the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Rwanda and New Delhi. The high-level meeting reviewed the full spectrum of bilateral relations between India and Rwanda, covering key sectors such as defense cooperation, agriculture, trade and investment, healthcare, education, science and technology, digital platforms, culture and people-to-people exchanges. Both sides expressed satisfaction with the steady progress in their partnership and explored new opportunities to further deepen collaboration. A significant outcome of the meeting was the signing of a Cultural Exchange Program CEP for the period 2026 to 2030, aimed at enhancing cultural collaboration and strengthening ties between the peoples of the two nations. The Indian opener Smriti Mandhana climbed to the top of the ICC Women's One-Day International Batting Rankings following her fine performance In the just concluded three-match series against Australia, Mandana made notable scores of 58 and 31 in the series, moving past South Africa's Laura Wooltvaart, who will have the opportunity, in fact, to reclaim the top spot when the Proteas take on New Zealand across March and April. The Indian captain, Harmanpreet Kaur, is the other Indian in the top 10. In the 9th position, Jemima Rodrigues is on the 12th position. There were a number of other performers from the series to enjoy ranking boosts. The West Indies and Zimbabwe teams, they have delayed their return from India after their exit from the T20 or the 2020 World Cup because of the international airspace closures amid ongoing conflict in West Asia. The West Indies failed to reach the semi-finals after Sunday's 5-wicket loss to hosts India, while Zimbabwe were eliminated after losing all three of their Super 8 matches. However, neither team could travel back because thousands of flights were cancelled in countries across the Gulf, disrupting some of the world's busiest transit hubs. Cricket West Indies said that they were working with the sport's global body ICC to make safe travel arrangements for their players and staff. The ICC, headquartered in Dubai, earlier said that they had activated contingency plans for their personnel who were scheduled to transit through Dubai for onward travel to their home countries. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, available on Android and iOS. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.